So this is going to be the engine-driven air conditioner. So it's only to use when the vehicle is on. Same as the, let's see if we can get that key in there. Similar to the factory AC, but this one is an aftermarket one, but same idea. So we're going to turn it on. You can put it at auto, and then, or you can turn it up or down here. But if you put it on auto, you set the degrees 59 and it'll get there on its own. Or you can do it manually and go high or low there.
So F1 and F2, what does that mean?
That's just speeds. Yeah, that's
okay.
the speeds of it. So
fan,
the fan, yeah. So it's going to go 3, 2, 1, or set it at your temperature and it'll do it.
So right now,
there.
is it set at 87 or
No,
is the temperature 87?
It's 87 now, it's set at 59.
Okay. So how do I set it to a different...
You just push this here. So 59 now, let's say obviously I want it to get 65, then let it go.
And then that'll stay...
And it'll tell you,
okay,
correct.
it's at 87 and we're going to 80, okay.
And then it'll
so
go back down
this
there
button
too.
right here,
On,
and then AC. Okay. Anything else on that? So that's if the engine's running.
That's if the engine's running, and also if you want to take the camera back here.
Okay, go ahead.
So for the aftermarket AC for the engine driven, these can be swiveled any direction. If it's in your face here, you don't want it. You want it more in the dog, so you can change it there. All 4 of those will have it. And you can also close it there if you don't want it directly in your face. But these can be swiveled 108 or 360 degrees.
And how many of those are
There's
there?
4 of them. 1 here, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the back.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So heat is going to be virtually the same thing, I believe.
It says a button right here, air conditioning, heat, and then off. There's heat, okay.
Yeah, so that's on there.
So I just push this button right here to change from air conditioning, heat,
Correct.
and then off.
Correct. And
Okay.
then again, the temperature setting or auto or something.
And this is only when the car's on. So if I'm at night and we're plugged into a generator electrical thing, I can't put the heater on, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So this air conditioning is run both off via shore power, which is the plug that's hooked into the side of the van, or your batteries. So right now, whether the car's on or off, it's AC only. I turn that on. Similar to the front one, right now it's on auto. So again, we set the temperature. Auto will regulate the fans, let it do its thing. Or you can manually, again, do the fan high or low, temperature setting, or just do it manually.
So this is only air conditioning, and this is when the car is running or not running.
Correct.
And that runs this unit right here.
The main unit on the roof, correct.
Okay. Off.
So if the car is off, this uses your battery bank, which is underneath the vehicle, your auxiliary batteries, and potentially you have as much power as the battery bank underneath there. This air conditioner is fairly new to us, so we don't know the exact time frame, but we figure it's going to give you at least a few hours.
Okay. But my best bet would be to hook this up to a generator or to plug in to a
Correct. So how that actually works is, even though it's on now and we're not plugged in, when we plug in, there's a built-in converter, and what that's doing, it's running power to this and it's running power to the batteries at the same time. Okay. So it's going to be charging your batteries as it's running off the batteries also.
Oh, nice. Go ahead.
So all these plugs here, which are 12-volt plugs, these are all, not this, but this one here. These are all live. Your lights are live, and your 12-volt plugs are all off your auxiliary battery.
And explain what live means.
So these right now, I can plug into these at any time.
Okay.
Car's off, car's on, doesn't matter. I can
and
plug into those.
How much time do I have with that?
So these use very low power. It's literally trickle charging your phones and that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to say unlimited, but you do have a lot of power via only these plugs here. I mean, you can run things a few days, your phone chargers, that kind of stuff, off your auxiliary batteries. Plug, which is your house power, your house plug. This is via the shore power coming in the outside of the van, which we'll show you next. but that's only live when you plug in a generator, or you plug into an RV park, or you plug into a power source.
Okay. So when I want to run a blender or coffee maker, I'm going to plug into these plugs, and I have to be on the generator or an outside plug or a home plug.
Correct.
Okay.
Because that is, if you look at this here, this is the breakers. So the power coming in will go straight to the breakers. We have a main, we have one breaker for the microwave, and we have one breaker for that plug there.
Okay, so if those are up, they're all on, and if they're off, down, they're off, and I just trip it back on.
Correct. If something happens, you overload the power. In the same position as the fuse panel here for the 110 power, we also have, if you can barely see it in there, it's our 12 volt fuse block. And 12 volt means all your low voltage, all your 12 volt plugs we just discussed over the counter, all your lights, the disco lights we'll get to in a minute. All that stuff is fused off that too. So this is your 110 power, that's your 12 volt power over there.
In a 12 volt power, if something is tripped, I would open up that unit and then I'd pull away those.
You just move the black parts, which are the vents
and
to
I
the
should
right.
be able to see, is one up or down, or is it more of the other?
They're fuses, and this fuse block will actually light up when the fuse is blown. So if the power can't roll through it, it'll put a little light. So it should be pretty easy to figure out which one. Otherwise, you can pull them all out and see which
Are they
one's
all
blown.
the same fuse? Like if I go to a hardware store and say buy, like is there a packet of fuses that I can keep?
You can. And there's probably one might be a 10, one might be a 5, one might be a 15, just for the voltage of the lights coming through. But you could get a variety pack and just have them set aside.
Awesome.
It's very rare they do pop, but they're there for a reason. So if they do, just replace them.
And are those labeled? Or you said it just lights up.
Correct.
So, okay.
All
right.
There'll be a light that's vents are here because this needs to pull air through it. And some air, we're not 100% sure if it gets pulled from underneath or inside here, but you have vents here which have covers on them. One of two ways: you can pull these screws off, clean it that way, or you can
vacuum
pull,
it.
and just suck all the hair out. That's just so it doesn't protrude through there.
Right. Okay. And how often should I clean that out? Once a week?
Just look at it.
Okay.
So our disco lights, our party lights, are all done on this remote. The remote is kind of tricky as you see it here, but basically to turn it on or off is going to be one or on, off, and you can rotate through the color scheme. So green, yellow, red, just keep going around. Okay. And also, if it's a little too bright, because at night I can tone it down a little bit and fade them down or fade them back up. These are actually for multiple banks. You could, if you wanted this car on one and so forth on another, and you can actually hit these here too, and it'll scroll through slowly.
What button
the colors.
did you push again?
Just the M button here.
Okay, you just pressed the M button and then what? That was it?
And then that was it. So what that's doing, that's actually scrolling through all the colors.
Okay. Now, can you do blinking to solid? So the M means scroll through the colors.
And there are, and you can actually go slower.
Okay, so after you push M to change the colors, you can go, okay, oh, now you are kind of blinking, right?
Yeah, so
or you're just changing colors.
Yeah, so it's blinking through the colors there.
Okay.
There should be some directions for this.
Is there a manual?
Yeah, and I'll give that to you. If not, I can print it out.
Okay.
But it does get a little confusing, but it's pretty cool.
All right, and then just to reiterate, this can run with or without a battery on, the engine on.
All of our power from the 2 seats back, not including shore power, can all be used at any given time. Just remember, when the car's not running, you're using the power of those batteries, which is fine. You just have to remember
to turn the car back on.
Yeah, it's just these are all low. All the lights are super low voltage. Okay. The air conditioner is going to be
the big thing,
eat up the power the most, but the lights shouldn't have any issues with power consumption. So, right before I get to the lights, another 12 volt switch, or 12 volt plug rather, just same as the front. This can be used for phones or low voltage charging.
And that's
stuff.
on?
That's on the batteries underneath.
Okay.
So that's can be used anytime.
Anytime.
So you can use that at any time. It's going off the batteries of your vehicle. Now, these two switches This one looks different because this is on a 3-way switch. So we have 4 or 8 lights. 2, 4, 6, 8. So right now, obviously daytime you can't really see. That turns off the very rear bank. So if you were to turn this on at night, you'd be able to see the rear back. And if you open the rear doors, there's another switch where you can turn it off back there. So it's on a 3-way switch.
So that switch on the left, I can turn the back.
The back 2. The
back
very
2
back
on.
On or up.
Okay.
Yeah. So whether
And
you're on
not
this
the
or
back
this
door ones, but just the lights inside.
Just the lights inside on the ceiling that come straight down.
Okay.
This one to the right is going to be the next bank. It's going to be
lights.
1, 2, 3. So this is kind of like your lights in this area.
Right.
And we did this one and those 2, which are your galley lights. So you have these 2 lights here and here. And the reason why we did this one on this bank is so if you're driving or something, or if people can be sitting in the seat and utilize that switch right there in this whole galley area.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're talking about the refrigerator, and it can be plugged into the round one here or above the galley. And the refrigerator has a brain on it to where you can set it to not kill your batteries. So if it reaches a certain voltage that you set, it'll shut the refrigerator off, spoiling your food, but you'll still be able to use the batteries.
Okay, and the refrigerator that I got is pretty low voltage,
The
right?
refrigerator is pretty low voltage. The biggest one to the smallest one uses about the same power. I think they're about 7 amps. Not that you really know what that means, but it uses really low consumption. They're really good quality, and they do have that power source of using less and more power.
So if I left this refrigerator in here with food all day for a week, and I used the car every other day, would the refrigerator stay on?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And depending on the more you drive, the farther you drive, anytime you have your shore power plugged in, when you're driving, you're charging your batteries. Anytime shore power is plugged in, if you're not using the full potential, meaning if you're not using the air conditioner, you're not using that, and it's power still coming in, it's still charging those batteries.
Okay.
So
those batteries.
So our cabinet space, we have 3 doors. This one is not really to be used just because it's housing all of our electrical. If you do use it, be very careful of what's inside of it. But this here and this here have these easy latches to open up. Obviously you have a little literature for your products that are on this vehicle, but that's an open shelf there. Slam latches, close it, it's latched. Same with that door. Pull that open, that has a shelf inside of it for more storage. A magnet whiteboard. So you can use magnets and you can draw on it and kind of like a dry erase from here to here.
All right, cool. All right.
All right, so we have our crates top and bottom. Potentially they're the same thing, take them on and off, but if you want to take the crate off, you're gonna take whichever the easiest one is to get out of the puzzle, but you're gonna take off these brackets first. So you're gonna remove these bolts here, which this is not tight, so I could show you how to do that. That'll come off. You're gonna take this nut off. These brackets will come off. That way you can take this and you can pull this off.
Oh, okay.
So that way these are all off. If you're gonna put a mattress or something on top of this, this stud will actually come out. It's just hand tight. You can pull the stud out and then you just have this here, which your mattress can just conform over that. The bottom ones,
Now, yeah, this was the one I had a question about.
bottom one
That's
is
in the back too, like
is
this.
similar to the top. It's just that there's sections up here, so we had to separate all of these to where this is a single bar going across. Same idea. Take each bolt out. These crates will come out. If you want to remove the bar, take the nuts off and pull the bar completely off.
Okay.
And that way your track will always stay in there, but the bar, the studs, and the crates can come out. You put your thumb here and you pull this back. So what you're doing, you're not actually pushing in because it's stuck there. You're pulling the plastic part back, and you can slide it or move it to any position you want. Then when it's locked into place. Tool-wise, all you're going to need is probably a 15 millimeter wrench. That would be all you need.
And it's okay. I mean,
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and just put the wrench on there, loosen it up, hand tight, loosen this up, hand tight, and then everything should go back in the same position to where it's at. So if we're going to go camping in this, we're going to remove our crates by literally just removing the crate, the bracket, the stud, take it out. And how we do that again is we just take the bolts out, take the nut off here. This bracket will come off. This stud is hand tight. These will come out of all these 6 positions, and all you have is just this bracket here. So your mattress should lay over that. Obviously you're going to feel a little bit of it, but that's usually under your pillow or where your feet are, so it shouldn't make a huge difference. There's nothing in the center, it's just in the front and in the rear.
Okay.
If we're going to remove the complete bed, which consists of this whole platform, we talked about removing the crates. After the crates are removed, we have 6 pins, 3 in the front, 3 in the back. Literally, just pull this pin out, 1, 2, 3, pull it out in the back. These brackets will come right up, they'll come out.
Oh.
After those brackets come out, these panels, all 3 will come right out.
There's 3 panels.
So there's 3 panels,
3 brackets,
and there's 3 brackets on each side. The middle bar is just 3 bars is just floating on the center there, just to support the weight. These bars on this end, these have a piece that goes into the channel. This side is really close, but the other side has a shock on it. So after these panels are out, each bar, you literally grab the bar, push it towards the wall, and it'll release from here and pull the bar right out. So you can use simple green soap and water to clean it. Obviously blacktop is getting
pretty dirty quick.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And this stuff's great. This is what you see in doctor's offices, high traffic areas.
And they cleans really well?
It can be cleaned up really well.
All right.
So crates can be removed the same way as the rear. The front is a little different than the bottom, or the top is a little different from the bottom, but we explained that last time. The lights are going to be, we'll start with this one here. So you're going to have your porch lights, which are on the rear. Those could be swiveled left, right, up, down to give you the best direction of lighting. Your 3-way switch is what we talked about. So if I turn those on in there and came back here, I can turn them off, or I can turn these on in that area. So those are on a 3-way switch, because it's like that. But on here, sometimes you'll hear it charge. That's your water pump. So right now, when I turn that on, I will grab the water wand or hose, whatever you want to call it. And it needs to be angled the same way, put on and turned. You don't have a hot water heater, so this doesn't really mean anything to you, but you can turn it all the way to the left, lock it on. And right now,
Yeah.
So what we did is we just plugged this in and we went all the way to the left, which is hot water, and it didn't work. Because there's an inlet for hot water, there's an inlet for cold water. We don't have hot water, so when we turn this on, just put it straight up. And that way, potentially it's mixing, but it's just cold water. So with it on, with the water pump on, we can go pretty far. And we have about, I forget how much, but there's about 20 gallons or a little less of water underneath the van. And to fill it is actually hidden under this step. It's a regular garden hose. So you take this off, hook the garden hose underneath here, turn that till it's tight, turn the garden hose on. If you've ever filled up an RV, it's similar to the same thing. Just let this fill and it'll actually overflow. Okay. It'll overflow out the vent, then it's full. All you got to do is unscrew it.
It's going to overflow out of the water tank,
it's
not
overflow
over the hose. The hose will just stay plugged in
Correct.
until I turn it off.
It'll overflow out of the water tank, out of the vent, and then when you see it kind of dripping out, just turn it off. Okay. When I pull this out, so when we pull this out, I always like to hold this up and get all the water out.
Oh, okay.
That way it just doesn't get pushed in your car. Place for it.
Okay.
The deck.
So that just goes back in there.
Yeah, so this can be,
Go ahead.
this can be put wherever you like, but now we're showing the deck systems, which are the pull-outs. You have your dividers, you have your power cord, which we'll get to in a minute, but these can be about 100 pounds each side of weight. You can configure that how you like, and literally just push it to set it close.
So all of this is live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we have 2 more sets of plugs, one here and one on that side also. And those are all 12-volt plugs, which are always live at all times. Okay. They're not labeled is to kind of the best way you look at it. The ones furthest towards us are the rear. The next ones in are those two lights, and then your water pump, which is in the vehicle. So we're going to do the shore power now. Shore power meaning the 110 power source entering the van. So we have a generator, and we have a couple cords, and I'll show you why we have the cords. So if I pull into an RV park, or if I actually have 30 amps of power, we can use this plug here. This plug connects into here. This plug connects to the 30 amp cord, or 30 amp power. But if I'm only going to use the generator, this cord is too powerful, it's too heavy, and it's pretty cumbersome to lug around. So what we can do is we can get a 15 amp extension cord, which is just a smaller one. It's lighter weight. And we can plug this adapter, which they do make smaller adapters.
Now I have to use an adapter because that plug doesn't just plug in.
Because that's a 15 amp plug to a 30 amp socket here.
It's a 30 amp socket. Okay.
So all we're doing is we're just downgrading the wires. So this will plug into here. So now that our power source is running, we can plug this cord into the generator. As soon as I plug that in, your batteries are being charged right now. There's a power converter on here that's charging the batteries, and if we go back to the inside, our plugs are live now, our microwave is on. So I can use this plug right now because we're plugged into our power source. If I wanted to put something in there, you're going to hear that generator kick on a little more because it's using a lot of power, but that's ready to go. Now, if our AC that's going off our batteries is on, it'll trip the breakers either here or it'll trip the breakers in the generator, because microwaves use a lot of power, and it's going to use more power than the generator has. Okay. So not a big deal, but if it does stop, you have to go back out there, flip these breakers, or restart the generator. What you want to do is you want to turn the generator on. Right now it's off, so you want to turn this on here. When it's cold, you want the choke on, and you literally just hold that there. It's already been running, so I'm going to turn the choke back off. You have your two plugs, and you also have your indicators. So if you were to overload the microwave or anything on there, I believe this will still run, but you'll have no more power out of it, and you'll see there'll be a default or an overload alarm. So you would just turn the generator off, turn it back on, and it would reset itself.
What's eco throttle off
So
on?
if you just had, like if you didn't have your AC running, but you know your batteries are a little low and you want to have them to charge it, what it's going to do, it's going to lower the RPMs. So it's not going to be as loud, it's not going to use up a lot of gas, but it's still charging your low power stuff inside there. So your batteries are still being charged, but you're not going to have the power you need to run the microwave or anything like that.
Okay.
So right
so
now
eco is like if I'm just there at night or something and want lights on or something, not air conditioning. Okay.
Yeah, if you're a couple hours, you know you're going to be camping or something, then I would just plug this on. That way you can, you know, be working in the van, that kind of stuff, and it's super quiet. I mean, you can, if you got a cord this big, you can hide it under a tree or something like that.
Okay. How do I? Okay.
Yeah. So to fill it with gas, twist this top off. It's completely filled right now. You have to read the manual, but I believe it's about a gallon of gas, and it lasts quite a long time.
How long is a long time?
I've heard they got up to 6 to 8 hours. That we didn't mention, this is a vent. So right now this vent is on, and you need it to vent because when it's sucking the gas in, it has to pull the air out to neutralize it. But you could turn this off, and I think that's going to stop all the smell and stuff coming out of it. So I think we're safe that way. The only other thing is the exhaust, but when it's off for a couple minutes, it no longer has any exhaust coming out of it. So your remote's actually going to tell you a lot of stuff. So right now, the air is going out, the lid's open, speed's at 50%, room temperatures 71. It's set at 78. What that means is, let's see what we're doing. I can set the temperature down, but it's not an air conditioner. It'll never regulate it too much,
Right.
but it'll work faster or slower to get there. I tell people don't ever really worry about the temperature. Do it on your own where the speed, 60%, 70, 80, 90. So the reason for the fan is if you're somewhere, there's no dogs in here, or maybe there is and it's a decent day to where you just want air flowing through here. There's two things you can do. Right now the air is going out, but if you hit this button to the bottom right, the air is going in, and that's reversing that. Now it's going to push the air down. It's going to draw air in and bring it down.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So this fan can be driven with it open. It can be open in the rain. It has little louvers on it. If it's a hurricane, obviously bring it down.
Okay.
You can drive with this full speed going down the road with it fully open. It's reinforced. There's no problem at all. If this remote, you can put it anywhere you like via this contraption here, or leave it in the glove box. But if you're back here, there's buttons on here also. Same thing we went over. On, off, in, out. Put the air in, put the air out. And you can open and close the lid right there. You can manually do it here also. So just to show you, when I turn this off, that's spinning because it's bringing the lid down. Just hit it, walk away from it, and it'll turn itself off.